Holy shit, we just watched the first 3 episodes of Nanana's Buried Treasure, and it was pretty good. What'd you think?
I liked it. It was
You
fun.
liked it?
It was cool.
Victor came in late for episode 1 and saw like 2 seconds and was like, this looks good, and so I roped him into watching it. How do you feel about it compared to No Game, No Life? Because it's sort of similar in that they're both game shows.
It feels less like...
Less dark, but at the same time...
It's just kind of casual and fun.
It is very casual. I like...
It's got some stupid perverted humor, but it doesn't feel
it
inappropriate.
Works.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing is, like, because when we talked about No Game, No Life, we talked about how the perverse humor was really unfunny. And then at one point, I think we said, I'm not opposed to perverse humor necessarily. This show is an example of how it can be funny.
Yeah.
Because...
Or at least just not annoying, or like...
Right. The show itself is lighthearted. You don't feel like the guy has all the power, because he usually gets his ass kicked.
Exactly. The girls are cool, and they're stronger than him.
He usually gets his ass kicked for being a pervert. He's got, I mean, the perverted scenes were hilarious in episode 1. He literally lets the ghost girl dislocate his shoulder so that he can cop a feel.
That was awesome.
And it was presented in a funny way. I mean, I'm not saying that necessarily everyone's going to enjoy it. If you completely are averse to any... You know, like fan service, you're not going to enjoy it necessarily because there is a lot of, well, not a lot of fans. Episode 1 had more than the other 2 episodes.
It's not super gratuitous.
Mostly because the landlady was in episode 1 and she was like, you know, but that was her character, was that she was like, you know, kind of fan servicey, and it hasn't really been gratuitous since then. Best character is Tensai, the genius girl.
Yes, the detective girl.
She's my favorite. She's got a great voice, legit. Awesome design, legit detective, and the way she talks about, in like episode 2, everyone laughs at her for calling herself a great detective. Yeah. And then the main character's like, doesn't it bother you that they're laughing at you? And she was like, you know, one day I'm going to be a great detective, and then they'll all have to, you know, they'll all feel embarrassed because they're the ones who were wrong. And then in episode 3, she says... Like, you know, it bothers me that people talk shit about me, but I'd rather keep calling myself a great detective than, you know, not be able to call myself one, you know. And I love that, because that's how I feel about the things I do, where, you know, throughout high school and shit like that, people always told me, you can't do that. There was I remember one girl in my Japanese class adamantly told me, like, you cannot be successful at anything if you don't go to college.
Jesus.
She was like arguing with me because at the time I wanted to drop out of high school. I just wanted to go become a filmmaker. And she was like, you'll never become successful. You'll never be able to do it. You can't do a job if you don't have a college degree. It's impossible. And I was just like, okay, bitch, we'll see, you know. And sure enough, I'm doing my passion work with no college degree. So, you know, that was the kind of attitude I had, is I'm going to accomplish what I'm setting out to do, whether people tell me I can or not. So I like that about Tensai, and otherwise she's a great character anyways. Main guy is...
I think it's just, like, his hair is different enough to, like, put him... He's cool in my book.
He's a more of a... He's a little bit of an old school shonen hero, where he's more of the, like, raggedy, like, scrappy kid who's not... Like
he's not like a super genius,
total
or
beta,
fucking otaku.
like all the other ones. Because we've had a lot of beta male leads this season who are
always,
embarrassed,
you know,
falling
the otaku
into boobs
guy who, you know, otaku can relate to.
Right. This guy is more physical. He's known for, like, because that's his special thing.
That's his only thing.
Right. He's trained his body, and he's very capable of physical activity.
He's not smart.
And there's been hints that there's more to his character, because in episode 1. Like, the first thing he says is, like, on his first line of dialogue is, I'm free. He's on a boat coming towards the school, and he just yells, I'm free. And he says the most important thing about coming to the school is that he doesn't have to be in that house anymore. Yeah. It hasn't been brought up again, but there's this idea that there's something more to his past going on here. And then there's Nanana, the ghost girl, and she plays a lot of video games, notable because she plays Phantasy Star Online 2, which is awesome, as well as, like, Virtua Fighter. And so we were theorizing that, which I thought it was Tekken, though. Are you sure it was Virtua Fighter?
I don't think it was Tekken, because it looked too ugly to be Tekken.
It looked like Jin Kazuma, though.
No, it was not Jin.
Well, anyway, she's playing Virtua Fighter in PSO2, so we were starting to think that maybe this show is sponsored by Sega in some capacity, because she plays a lot of Sega games. Either way,
PSP.
It was pretty fucking rad to see PSO2 in a show. Like, it's the full... Every time she's playing a game, it is the game. Like, superimposed onto her television.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. It's odd that it doesn't quite seem out of place, but at the same time, it's very noticeable, you know? Like, oh, she's playing a 3D game.
Yeah.
In her 2D world, you know? She's alright. So far, the puzzles have been pretty cool. I wish the directing didn't, like, cut so much constantly, because it makes I just don't feel like I have a good sense of... Well, I did in episode 2, but in episode 3, like, the sense of space was not as good as I wanted it to be. Either way, it was good, decent puzzles, I think.
Yeah. He's running around, and there was a spider.
And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more puzzles as it goes along. So far, I feel comfortable that there's going to be, like, a puzzle an episode, and that's a good thing.
Definitely.
If this is going to be a show about adventure, I want there to be adventure. You know, it's a little odd that the main character, that the ghost girl, Nanana, like, her whole thing was cave diving, and then she builds, like, ruins, but they're all, like, indoors, like, in buildings, like, fabricated ruins. Or we don't know if she built them, but... In any case, it's cool that there is a show about ruins and puzzles and exploring and stuff.
They're not just talking about adventure, they're actually adventuring.
Right, which I was starting to get worried, because in the first episode and in the first half of episode 2, it's mostly sitting around. But then once it starts getting into the whole caves, and episode 3, like, did not fuck around. It immediately went and got shit done. There's starting to be more intrigue, more characters getting introduced.
The one guy was a bad guy.
Yeah.
Which was obvious.
Altogether, I'm enjoying it so far and hoping it goes well. It's based on a novel, and it's just one novel, not like a long-running... Because anytime it's a long-running light novel series, you're like, oh, there's going to be no ending, you know? But this is an 11-episode show based on a novel, a prize-winning novel. So hopefully it's pretty good. We were worried because it's A1 Pictures. And the thing about A1 is that probably does not sound like a bad thing to anyone else.
That's true.
But we both have had a lot of, like, disappointing experiences with them, where they made Sword Art Online, which both of us can't stand, and we know that you guys probably all love it, but fuck Sword Art Online. They made, they did Working, which starts off okay, and then was just shit for 2 seasons. They did Anohana, which everyone loves, but again, it's one of those where, like, the first episodes are really good, and then it turns to shit afterwards. Basically, in my experience, A1 Pictures shows start off strong and turn to shit. But, you know, it's not always true, and it's mostly just me who feels that way, and him. But hopefully this one won't turn to shit and be a huge fucking disappointment.
Yeah.
And that's all. Have a nice day.